Welcome to Veranda at Design ADAC. A big thank you to our sponsors for this event, Clarence House and Jerry Pear, presenting The Evolution of an Icon, Clarence House Through the Decades. Welcome to the 70s. For the past 60 years, Clarence House has forged an iconic gallery of bold patterns that embrace artistry. Honoring the 60th anniversary of Clarence House and celebrate the legacy of the 1970s as a pivotal decade of growth within the interior design community. I, with Veranda Magazine, will moderate this keynote conversation between designer Michelle Nussbaumer and Kazumi Yoshida of Clarence House. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the luxury trends that defined the 70s and remain a source of inspiration to this day. This discussion will explore the influence of generational styles in Michelle's debut collection for Clarence House, a textile line that weaves together a 6-decade design journey. Before we begin, a word from our sponsor, Clarence House. Michelle Nussbaumer is the mistress of maximalism, a guru of grand gesture, and prominent author of a book on design point of view called Wonderlist. Her work is globally recognized and has been featured in the pages of leading publications, both nationally and internationally. Taking inspiration from nature, her traveled adventures, love of beauty, the interiors designed by Michelle artfully reflect both the individuals they were designed for and the locales they were inspired by. With an exclusive clientele, Michelle creates timeless yet dramatic stage sets for living. Beginning with her renowned Roman villa, Michelle has been a sought-after interior designer around the world. Her ability to bring together treasures from the furthest reaches of the globe with modern elements of pop culture to truly create unique and lived-in spatial experiences have made her a mainstay in the industry.
Thank you, Joy, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Michelle. Kazumi Yoshida, whose work is synonymous with non-parallel luxury and originality, has been creatively associated with Clarence House for 30 years, serving as the Textile House's creative director. Quoting from the opulent book about his life and work, Clarence House, The Art of the Textile, Kazumi says, modern luxury is about filling your life with texture, comfort, and beauty. His paintings and sculptures have been included in numerous shows throughout the United States, Europe, and Japan. His work has been featured in many publications, including Vanity Fair, Interior Design, House and Garden, Traditional Home, Veranda, and Cabana. Kazumi, welcome, Kazumi.
Thank you, Joy. Great to be here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kazumi.
Welcome again to the evolution of an icon. Audience, kindly submit questions via the Q&A, and we will certainly get to them before the end of the presentation. Welcome, you guys. It's so good to have you guys here.
We're so happy to be here.
Happy to be here as well.
Virtually.
I
wish it was in person.
Of course, absolutely. So my first question has to be, do you guys still wear bell bottoms?
I do.
Kazumi,
I don't, but I used to in the 70s.
That thing looks good on you, Kazumi.
So what was life like for both of you in the 70s?
So I was in high school, and I remember, in fact, on my mood board, I put in these like sort of wooden clogs that I wanted so bad, and my mother wouldn't let me have them. So I snuck them to school and hid them in my locker and changed into them every day. So it was all about forbidden things and beauty and sort of a hippie vibe that was so cool that I still love. And the world was really like opening up, I think, in so many ways.
Nice. And Kazumi, what about you? What was life like?
Well, I wasn't still in school, and I was dreaming and plotting to get out of Japan. I wanted to see the war, and which I did. First, I went to London.
Oh, tell us about that experience.
London was everything was going on, like Elton John and David Hockney. It's so exciting for me to see the war in the London scene. And remember the Mr. Child, Knightsbridge?
Yes.
Well, yeah, San Lorenzo. Somebody's going back. I had a great time. My fashion designer friend, like Zandra Rose and Tina Chow and Bill Gates. I had a great time.
Sounds like a nice time to be around. I'm sure you were sneaking into some parties too.
Yes.
You didn't mention those, but we know you were. Kazumi, how would you describe the work of Clarence House in the 70s?
70s was for Robin, it was a turning point because he started out representing all the editors from Europe, right, high end. Mm-hmm. And then the editors started to leave Clarence House one by one. He had to come up with something, his original designs for Clarence House. Mm-hmm. Then he started to travel to India, Japan, all over the world, and he came up with a unique, sort of like ethnic-oriented collection, sort of like a bingata from Okinawa, and a hand-painted silk from India, which you saw in a background, Caprice Oriental, Madeleine, and L'Oriental. That was the beginning of his mark for this industry. So it's very exciting for him. But I wasn't there yet, but I came in like early 80s, and then we started to develop many, many more things.
And for both of you, how did that time influence the work that you did and how you saw art and architecture and culture? How did it influence your work?
Well, my first house that I ever did was, of course, for myself, and I was quite young. And I remember that Clarence House was sort of like the go-to for me that I wanted. And I remember exactly the fabrics I bought for that house, and I still have them on some things. And the 70s was really a time for me of travel and excitement. And, I was just I just started college like in 80, so it was kind of the end of the 70s. But the 70s was a time where there was so much freedom in the world. And I feel like all of this global sort of ethnic, exotic vibe was coming to the forefront, where before that, people had very more traditional kind of homes. And the 70s really opened up the time for people to incorporate things from all over the world and put them together in a mixed up, crazy way. And Clarence House exemplified that in such a big way. So it was an exciting time. The 60s was more not as pattern oriented and definitely not as exotic. So yeah, what do you think, Kazumi?
For me, like seeing the opera, especially like David Hockney's first opera production for Magic Flute, remember, in England, that blew me away, and that got me, to follow his works and his vision. His art had a great influence on me, and it still stay with me to this date. Mm-hmm. So his colorful palette, like contemporary stylized set, fantastical colors with the music of Mozart. That was fantastic.
Nice. So both of you work a great deal in color and pattern. When did you know that color was your life, that pattern was your life?
I always knew that. My first job ever was with Yves Saint Laurent. And it was right when he did the Opium collection, which I don't know if you all remember, but
yes,
it was such a beautiful collection with these crazy fur hats and all of these exotic shapes and colors and silks. And, this was a really different idea for people. And I think that color, I always loved color. I mean, I was always an artist. So paint and color were always something that I was drawn to, obviously, and collaging. But that was the time when I felt the freedom to mix patterns together that didn't necessarily match for other people. And
I was doing that when I was in second grade, and my mom thought I was crazy and wouldn't let me leave the house. But yeah,
exactly. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
go. No, so what's your favorite textile to work with?
Is that
Do you
for
have
me?
a favorite textile?
For me?
Both of you.
Well, I love a polished cotton, strangely still. I love a polished cotton, and I'm crazy about my embroidery for Clarence House, which is called Fez. And it seems like I put it in every job now, which I don't know if that's always what I should be doing, but I can't seem to get away from it. I love it. And I still loved a polished cotton. I still love that. It's hard to find them, but I do actually like those.
Well, they're so flexible, you can use them anywhere. And Fez is perfect and should be used everywhere. So don't be ashamed of that.
Thank you.
And you, Kazumi, what's your favorite textile to work with?
I love all the textile, but especially ethnic handmade one, like a woven and printed. I like anything go through your hand, gives you some kind of warmth. And of course, like I like the printed, woodblock printed, that's a hand done too. And I always love somehow like Fortuny textile.
So, I mean, what do you want your art and your interiors to say about you?
Well, I really want them to reflect the people that live there. That's sort of through my lens. So I try very much in my jobs to help people find their best self through their design, through my design. And I really like working with people that have a very strong sense of what they want. So, since I come from a set design background, every job is a new possibility for me. So I don't necessarily want things to really reflect me as much as them.
Okay. And you, Kazumi, what do you want your art to say about you?
I kind of agree with Michelle, but it's space. It's all about harmony. You play with the scale and balance, and adding your favorite arts and object. Create your own cocoon. It's your statement for your client or whatever,
So you want to leave a little bit about yourself, but definitely use the textiles and art that you use to reflect the client's taste. Yes. Do you ever feel that you have to steer a client a little bit further away from your particular taste?
I don't, no.
That's why they come to you, right?
I think people hire you for that aesthetic, but they also have their own ideas and want you to sort of like put that through your lens, like I said before, to help them. Because clients today, they have so many choices and there's so many sites and so much opportunity to buy things themselves. But, most clients thankfully realize they don't have the expertise to create that. But for myself, I like pattern, texture, color. And, you're always reading these things about like, oh, everyone should sleep in a blue room or something. And for me, a red room makes me soothed and calm. So, you have to really, I do color stories with all my clients to kind of see what colors they love and what they respond to. And color just emotionally is so important.
True. I totally agree with that. Kazumi, Clarence House became the go-to of the Hollywood set. How do you think that happened? What made Clarence House the place that everyone in Hollywood needed to shop? Cher and all these people.
Yeah, sort of like because of Robin's personality, I think, and his association with the actors and actresses in Hollywood. I mean, he was really deeply into it. And of course, the look of the townhouse in the 40 East 57th Street.
Describe that.
Minute decorator bring their celebrity clientele. They felt very safe. They felt like at home. They really like the people who works there. Take care of them, and they the Clarence House, Robin, and made them feel like at home. And then so many people pass through the townhouse because I've witnessed so many people like Glenn Close, Diana Ross, Barbara Streisand, Claudette Colbert, Lauren Bacall, Greta Garbo, to name a few.
Well, and Kazumi, don't you feel like too at the time Clarence House really was the icon of fabric houses at that time? I mean, it was the house that everyone looked to for the next idea, and I think they were just setting. I hate the word trends, but they were setting a style and trends at that time. Really, really.
Yeah, I think so. But as a Brunswick as well, but so and Scaramantre, but Clarence House was very unique. It was like Robin's singular vision.
And Brunswick was a little more tame, a little more American.
Correct.
Clarence House was more European, more English or something for me.
Yeah, very, correct. The Robin was kind of like sometimes he doesn't mind to take a chance, a little bit edgy, a little bit of a little offbeat. So a lot of people like that.
There was an eccentricity, I think, in some of the fabrics that I really loved.
Yeah.
And do you think fashion played a part in that and sort of led the textiles and vice versa? That the Hollywood set also was interested?
I think that's just always been true. Don't you, Joy? And I don't know, I think we've always, fashion follows fabric and fabric follows fashion. I think that's always been something that's happening.
Yeah. So, I mean, you both are very influenced by fashion in your work. Do you think?
I love
it seems so.
I do look at all the shows and sometimes go to them. And especially I'm influenced quite a bit by the old Dries Van Noten. They have a new director now, but I liked very much the way Dries mixed clothes. I loved Saint Laurent in the 70s. There's so many fabric houses that I think follow this a little bit. And I don't know, I'm influenced by so many things, but fashion is a big one. What do you think, Kazumi?
Yes, very much so. I was always admire like Issey Miyake and Fortuny fabrics, and I even did a collection, inspired by Elsa Pelletti. And then like you said, like a textile inspired fashion designer inspire us. But and then things happened. Like the Dragon Empress fabric, Etro produced. Christian Lacroix saw it. They fell in love with it. He used his first couture collection. And in New York, Jeffrey Bean, Oscar de Renta, many designers came to Clarence House, and I collaborated on that. And later on, Michael Wallblack did the Bill Blass collection. He was a very dear friend of mine. We really worked closely with our fabrics.
That was such an exciting time for you. I want to hear more about that. I lived in Rome in the early 80s, and Kinzo had an amazing big flagship store there. And I remember just going through all the time and being so inspired by his fabrics and sweaters and textiles. And he loves color. So I just loved that time.
Yeah, like you, yeah. He's such a playful and ethnic. And he's a magician of the cotton. Like you say, you like cotton, right?
What I loved about Kenzo's clothes was that he didn't, the power in his design was really about the pattern and the textile. And so he let his clothes be very voluminous. He didn't squash in the waist or something to accommodate the form, so that his textiles were big and almost banner-like to really express the full print of the textile, which is what I thought made that so powerful.
Not long before his death, he did a collaboration with H&M. And I remember going to see it, and it was exactly that, all of these big, great things and socks and gloves. And it was all so great. And I loved that because everyone could get it and afford it at that time. And he passed away not long after that, sadly. But
sadly, yeah.
So where are you both going for inspiration now? Michelle, I know you're in Jamaica at the moment. What are you seeing there that you think will inspire a new collection for Clarence House, perhaps?
So I love nature. I'm very inspired by nature. And I've been visiting all of these sort of old 18th century houses. Yesterday, I went to a great house that was from 1700s. It was a Georgian house. And the lovely people that lived there, she was Jamaican and he was British. And they had painted the whole house sort of bright blue and baby blue on the exterior. And then they had all kinds of things from both their families inside. Like she loved African textiles and he loved, chintz, and they had beautiful dinnerware. And I just love seeing how people live in an authentic way. And also his sister is a landscape designer where I was, and I went to about 5 of these houses so far. Every one of them has their own particular take on Jamaican life and culture. And I just feel like traveling, which none of us have been able to do, has been so inspiring for me always. So just happy to be here, and the flowers and the way a vine goes up a tree, I can see a pattern. So, when you love pattern and texture and color, you find it everywhere, I think.
So true. So true. And you, Kazumi?
I'm very much like Michelle. I'm the same way, travel and to see the people, to see the architecture, nature. But besides that, I never missed the important gallery and exhibition opening and opera, ballet, theater. That really inspires me a lot.
Especially the set designs of ballet. Don't you agree? I remember seeing an opera that Zeffirelli did, Aida, and it was in the baths in Caracol in Rome. And just they had elephants that came across the stage and all these costumes and the grandeur, I think, of opera and ballet. You're right. It's so inspiring. And especially Russian ballet, all of those. I can't remember what the guy's name, but he was such an amazing artist. I know you know, Kazumi. And he did the Ballet Russe.
Stacy Diaghilev, no?
Started with a B, I think. Anyway, his costume design was so amazing. I have his book, and of course now I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I'm really great fan of like Russian avant-garde, that period, 1920s, 30s.
Amazing.
Diaghilev,
Yes.
fantastic.
So
yeah.
You're both just as iconic as Clarence House individually. What does success mean to the both of you?
Okay, we're both shy here, Kazumi.
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Well, that means to me, I'm sort of like, I feel fortunate, I'm humble to be able to continue what I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I feel extremely grateful. When I have 4 children, and I always tell them, choose what you love and it will never be a job. And I've never felt like my work is actually work. I felt just so joyous being able to go every day to create and be with people who are other artists and people who appreciate that. So I feel like we're very blessed in this life. And for me, starting to do this textile line with Clarence House has been a really great joy. So just having the ideas, seeing them on paper, touching them, and then using them in a project is really, really wonderful. So Kazumi, you've gotten to do this for a really long time, and I compliment you on that.
I love your collection.
Thank you. I love all of yours.
Is there a textile that either of you are most proud of, a particular design, a Clarence House textile that you love?
I'd love to hear yours, Kazumi.
My sort of like, I did a series of a tapestry project, you remember? Along with Atelier Claude de Clercq in Paris. We did sort of like a charitable event project to start out with, to create a job in Hanoi, Vietnam, for hand-woven tapestries. And then he Claude built a factory there. And then we started to produce many designs. And that was part of my, the series of the design I'm really proud of. And another thing was like Petit H, the Hermès, remember the collection initiated by Pascal Moussard? And she used the discarded leather and discarded like a textile to create a whole new object and furnitures and like a object, furniture, and something fun. That was a very interesting project I had.
Sounds like they need to reboot that and start producing it again. That sounds magical.
I want to see that. Well,
I think
for me, I would say the pattern behind you is very important to me, Joy. And that pattern was I had seen an icon of this little man there in one of the pyramids, and I had that painted on the wall in a house that I have in Mexico. And then Clarence House brought it to life in this kind of way. So it's very special to me because it has so many inceptions along the way. And the painter that painted it on the wall has become a very good friend.
Mhm.
And for me, I really like the idea of bringing these indigenous patterns to life again.
Mhm.
And if I can, helping the people who created them.
Mhm.
So that's something that I really enjoy quite a lot.
So if someone gains sight and touch for the very first time, what textile of yours would you want them to experience for the first time ever? What textile of yours would you want them to touch if they were gaining their sight and touch for the first time?
Something very special, right?
Yes.
Now, for me, it's like a silk lampas I created, silk sheer. Lapin Agile, I don't know if you remember the pattern, based on a 14th century Chinese silk document, beautifully executed by Belgian mill Jean Rose. And it was in the collection like for 5-6 years. That to feel good, the visual it was stunning. I wish I would revive the pattern. But another thing's like all the silk work print we developed with Tassinag Chatel.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it look like a dream when you look at it. You know, the changed color, depends on the light.
Oh,
I
nice.
love all your patterns, and you have such a rich history of beautiful patterns that are very tactile as well. So I think for me, I don't really have quite a lot of, I have this one that I like so much that has an embroidery on top of the, and that's called Bota on top of this, the beautiful Belgium linen. So I like that quite a lot. And if people were seeing it, but I think I need a brighter color. So maybe Cartagena, which I did, that has a parrot and it comes in many beautiful colors and it's very vibrant. So I think that would probably be the one.
I'm also in love with your crazy quilt.
I love the crazy quilt. Isn't it so great?
Oh my gosh, it tells such a story.
It's my favorite pattern. They did such a good job. And it's something I've always wanted to have to work with. And I've tried using old crazy quilts and they would always fall apart. And Giardino did it quite a lot. He would use these great quilts on ottomans. And I don't know how he kept them from falling apart, but we finally solved it at Clarence House.
Nice. Well, leave it to Clarence House to solve the problem.
Exactly.
I love that.
So, Kazumi, you're constantly adding art to your arsenal. Is there going to be a reboot, second book, part 2 of your Art of the Textile?
If only I could get, the original collaborator like Sabine Rothman and Francois Allard and Noemi Bonazzi, and maybe I would think about Sam Shahid, of course, the great art director. Yeah, I would do it. That would be fun.
Well, I'm prompting it and putting it in the universe.
We need another one of your books, Kazumi. Absolutely.
How about you, Michelle? You're going to come up with some new books?
I'm actually working on book number 2 and 3 at the same time, which is crazy, but it took me so long to get it out that now I have another one. Yeah, so I'm working on one about Mexico and then another one about just design jobs. So
design jobs, that should be interesting.
I know.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
I know. Well, hopefully they'll just be the good ones. The bad ones, the ugly ones, I'll leave out.
Definitely. So, Michelle, what can't you live without?
My family. So that's the only thing I can't live without.
Kazumi, you, what can't you live without?
Yeah, my family, my friends, or, especially to be able to be inspired and create, you have to have a purpose in your life.
Yes, it's got to be an evident purpose, no doubt about it. And this year certainly has taught us about the simplicities of life, right? And the things that truly, make us whole. So Kazumi, tell me about a dream project of yours. Tell me something that you couldn't possibly have done yet that you want to do.
Dream project. I've been working on it, for the exhibition in Italy, Palermo, hopefully next year, combined with my textile, my art. and create the world of in fantasy, and then in conjunction with my children's book I'm started to produce. It's all about the ecological
What's your
thing.
children's book about, Kazumi?
Yeah.
It's called The Baby's Blue Planet. It's about ecology and try to save the world, it's a very good cause. And I did a drawing and everything. I'm still waiting for the publisher to go ahead. And hopefully somebody sponsored and it becomes a reality. But so in conjunction with my art and the textile from Clarence House, my children's book, and all that combined, and they create the sort of world of utopia or something.
That's an
That
amazing,
sounds magical.
that's a great legacy. I love that.
Oh,
That's a
what's
children's book.
your dream project, Michelle, that you haven't done yet?
I have so many probably. Well, right now I'm working on a really fabulous job in the Middle East, and I'm super excited about that because I'm very inspired by Middle Eastern culture and design. So that, and I just got offered a hotel, which I've never done before. So that seems like a dream project that I'm looking forward to. And like Kazumi, I'm having my first grandchild this year. So that's going to be the best project ever, Kazumi, anything to do with children. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm going to definitely buy your book for that little baby. But so yeah, things are good. I want to leave the world a better place. So like Kazumi, I think it's so important, anything to do with nature and helping nature. My daughter, my husband, and I started a tree foundation. And so yeah, I'm kind of looking more towards nature and helping in that way the world. I mean, I still love design, but it's a time in the world that I see a lot of need for other things.
Yeah, definitely. What still excites you guys about the design industry right now? What keeps you motivated and excited and not willing to leave it for anything else in the world?
Well, I think that one thing we've noticed during COVID, which is happening right now, is I'm in Jamaica and I'm able to work with you. I haven't been to my Middle Eastern project because I've done most of it online. And I have a job in Seattle I haven't been to. So quite a few jobs that I've been able to do long distance. And so I think the design industry is changing that way. Of course, we have to have site visits and see things in person, but I think it's opened up our world to working in a different way and giving us the opportunity to do more. So I see so many things on the horizon. Plus I have so many collaborations going on right now. I love working with people. I feel like in our world, we're very often alone. And so now even just being on this, on this show with you guys right now, there's so much to look forward to and so many different ways to work. And I feel inspired by that.
Yes. And you, Kazumi, what are you excited about?
The industry. There are still some people out there, artisan and the owner of the mill or something like Hermes. They try to preserve the traditional method of weaving and printing, which is very important to preserve the tradition. And Buco, which is owned by Hermes Group, they did an exhibition at the demonstrating just how things were made, like a old loom, traditional way, and they hand printed at the Musée Commando. Did you see that, Michelle? I think 3-4 years ago.
I love that, but I did go to Zubair's factory.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's too fabulous.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Block print, yeah.
And then I think also, Kazumi, the way things are becoming, so as much as it's so important, the old ways, have you been to Atelier de Lumière? And in Paris? I went to the one that was Gustave Klimt, but so many new art sort of expressions, and I feel like we're at a real turning point in the world in so many different ways, and hopefully preserving the past, but also celebrating the future. I love that Atelier Lumière. It brought tears to my eyes.
Right. And even a company like Lilier, they try to produce some, like a silk tapestry, big, scale, try to conjunct with contemporary designs with the old method of weaving. That'd be great.
Definitely.
What else are you guys looking forward to?
I can't wait to, start to travel again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we came here and it was a little scary. It's really the first time I've gone somewhere, but everyone's very safe here, and the airport was great. And I feel like my hands are getting raw because they're constantly putting some sanitizer in your hands everywhere you go. But I'm ready for the world to open, and I've been plotting my escape. So
Almost there.
Almost there. So what advice would both of you give young designers seeking to follow in a similar path or trajectory that you've had in the industry, in design, in textiles, in art? What advice would you give?
So I'm very often asked this question,
Mhm.
and I always say the same thing. And I didn't do this, and I wish I had. But
Mhm.
I think find a person that you admire and that is someone in the industry of stature, and try to work for them. I think it's the most important thing, a mentorship. And I mentor a lot of the girls that work for me, and I love them all and try to help them move to a better place. But I think that that is what is so important, is being around people that you admire and seeing how they did it, and travel too. So
Mhm.
travel is huge for me. And you can be the best designer technically, but if you never saw an English country house, you can't really make one. And
True.
I think it's that also indigenous people, seeing how they live and the things that they're drawn to and the beauty there is so inspiring. So travel for me, and working with someone who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. And you, Kazumi, what advice would you give to someone starting in the industry?
Wherever you are, whoever you're with, listen to your heart. Your initial instinct is the right one. True to your feeling,
Mhm.
and you know what you like,
Mhm.
what's right for you. That would motivate you to reach the goal, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add something to that, which is look to other people that you admire, but find your own voice too. Don't just copy something someone else has done.
Exactly.
Try to exceed.
That never feels authentic, does it, Joy? I feel like a lot of people do that.
Yes.
I call it Pinterest decorating. So yeah.
It's absolutely Pinterest decorating. Find your own voice. Don't mimic someone else's. I think that's something that's watering down the industry, that everything looks alike because people are copying what other people say and do and feeling it's not authentic at all.
I agree. Have courage and boldly go forth. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to jump to a couple of questions that we have for you guys, and then we can get back to conversation if you'd like. First question, is there a specific era or design movement inspiring your work currently?
For me,
is there a specific era? Yes.
For me, no,
yes.
I'm working with Nina Batkin, with inspired by 20th century art movement, 1920s on.
Mm.
So
it's very exciting.
I'm very inspired by Art Deco right now. And I have been for the last 2 years. So I've done quite a lot of projects that have that vibe. And I'm actually working on a high rise right now and doing the lobby. And it's going to have a lot of Art Deco inspired moments. And also the 70s was also inspired by Art Deco. So there's a little bit of crossover there. And I've always liked both of those decades.
Mm-hmm. You like Art Deco also, Kazumi. Yes, I've seen some works of yours. Yes.
20s and 30s, 40s. It's my favorite. Of course, mid-century.
Mm-hmm. So, Kazumi, what's next for Clarence House?
What's next for Clarence House after the 60th anniversary collection?
Yes.
Comes in like...
what are you cooking? What are you cooking up next?
I'm preparing the thing from tropical theme designs.
And you want to be where Michelle is right now.
Yeah, tropical. It's all about tropical. And that makes you happy, you know?
Come to Jamaica. It's so beautiful.
Palm trees and, it's all about tropics.
I love that. But it's also sort of Art Deco as well.
Yeah.
I love that.
So very excited.
Next year, we're all going to meet on a tropical island. What do you say to that?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Another question. What trends do you all see emerging moving forward? How can we blend the decades to be invigorating, but also with a nod to the past? What trends do we see emerging forward?
Well, I honestly don't like trends, so I don't really know what they are. Look at them.
Exactly.
But so I don't know, but I do see that there's a lot of this sort of like beige kind of farmhouse thing that I hope is going to end.
No
And
more.
I
Mhm.
don't really want a trend. How about if we all just move into beauty and find what's beautiful at the moment and what works in the project instead of any trend. I hate a trend.
I
Hate trend.
agree. And you, Kazumi? What do
I
you-
agree with Michelle 100%. Because I don't look at the design trend or anything like that. I just do on my own. And then, there's a market for it, especially our market. The trend is not that really important. You do beautiful things and people follow.
What do you think is
Well put, Kazumi.
Yeah. What do you think is the next thing after all this subway tile? Artisanal ceramics, I
Well, I
hope.
have two tile lines coming out. One's a cement tile and one's a clay tile.
Yay!
And I love patterns, so obviously that's going to be happening. But yeah, I never really used subway tile. It belongs in the subway. I don't get it.
That's why it's in the subway, because it's
Let me
utilitarian.
just
Yeah.
say, I was never really inspired by the subway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe some people's outfits on the subway.
No, that's true. I saw the most Givenchy outfit on the subway once that is etched in my memory forever.
Yeah.
I wish people would dress like that again, like they were going to the theater and, all these wonderful, fanciful, whimsical delights that you see when you totally don't expect to see them.
I like that. I like that.
But the industry is coming back now, and I'm so thrilled to see that.
You know what
There's
I think
another
happening?
question.
You know what I think is happening, Joy, is that people
me.
are having so much more courage. I look in, especially I love Cabana magazine. I just feel like it really exemplifies. And there's so many other magazines too that I've been liking lately that have really more authentic individual design that I think all of the publications are starting to put out. And Miranda's good at that. So I'm happy to see that happening.
I agree. I totally
Yeah,
agree.
the cabana is like you, Michelle. It's not you all, but cabana like layered and
I
textured.
love
and
Cabana.
patterned.
I
Yeah.
love that.
There's another question. I love the idea of crossover between Art Deco and 70s, Michelle. Can you speak more to what a marriage between the two might look like in a completed space?
Well, first of all, if you look at the designs of the 70s, there was a lot of these sort of like, almost like they would do like in theaters, and I don't know what you would call this, but it'd be like a rainbow that went like this with different colors. And then they did the same patterns in the 70s. They were this sort of like 70s patterns, but they were actually inspired by Art Deco ideas and the lines of Art Deco furniture. So when you put them together, it's really the colors that have changed and the scale maybe, but they're so similar. Do you agree with this, Kazumi? I think
I agree with you 100%.
there's so many similarities in all of that mod furniture from the 70s. It was all inspired by Art Deco.
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing this lobby that looks very much like that right now. And they both liked mohair, they both like texture, they both like color. The 70s was this sort of mint green thing, and Art Deco was not. But yeah, so
I like avocado green, right?
Yeah,
right,
avocado green, black and gold.
I mean, I never say I don't like any color, but it's not my favorite combo. But I think if you start looking, you're going to start seeing some of that, and I think we always reference back to the past. Isn't that what we're really inspired by so often? And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a fun thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And so what is the exterior architecture like to this lobby project that you're doing? Is it a contemporary space?
No, it's an Art Deco inspired building.
Oh, so it'll be an Art Deco building with an Art Deco lobby.
Not Art Deco, but it's inspired by Art Deco. And it's a multifamily. I think there's like 100 individual homes in it. And it's, yes, so there's a lot of Art Deco sort of architecture on the front of it, but inspired in a new way. And it's actually in Newport Beach.
Oh, wow.
So I'm kind of excited about it. And the people that own it are from Hong Kong. And, they're really open to a lot of fun ideas. And I think this is where they're realizing people don't want just a cookie cutter house anymore. That's not how they want to live.
Yeah.
So they are, and actually they have great style and taste themselves. So they're super fun to work with.
It's always important and a wonderful opportunity to work with clients who truly understand design and are willing to do something beyond the farmhouse aesthetic,
I love all of your jobs with your Italian friends. I mean, those are so gorgeous.
Yeah, we were designing a beautiful mosaic for the ceiling today. It's going to be exceptionally gorgeous. And the exterior of the house has this meter high frieze that goes around the entire house. And so we're going to pull little elements of that for the ceiling in the dining room, which I'm really excited about.
It's fun to incorporate, different aspects of the house back into the interior. I always try to do that. What I don't like are exteriors and interiors that don't match at all. So, yeah.
Agreed. Here's a question. What can a person new to hiring an interior designer do to prepare for the consultation? Can I answer that?
That to you, I'm not interested.
I'm going to answer that. I'm going to say, number one is be very, very, in preparing for a consultation with your interior designer, I think you should be very, very clear about your budget. That will help your interior designer align the pieces that are appropriate for you, for your family, for your home, for your pocket, so they won't show you things that are that don't apply. Be honest about your sort of design style if you know it, so that you won't let someone else's vision sort of lead what it is you want to achieve for your home. And if you're doing it virtually, definitely walk around with your camera and let the designer see the space so that they can visualize the scale and the proportion of the structure. That'll help you align for your presentation. And if it's in person, easy breezy, but definitely be very honest about your design direction, your design intent, and the needs for you and your family.
I agree with that, Joy. And I want to say that so often people come to me and they have no idea of their budget, or they don't want to say their budget. So they sometimes want me to come up with a budget. So I think that is the most important thing. People need to identify the budget and approach it from that direction.
Yeah, and be very clear and very honest about it. If you have $50,000, $100,000, $300,000, 1.3 million, whatever it is, be very, very clear. And know specifically what that budget is being allocated to. Is it design services and product? Is it construction, furniture, whatever, but also table in any architectural fees, any interior design fees, any storage fees, all these things, landscaping costs, all of these things create an actual project budget. If you're looking at a project that's $100,000 and you say, I'm going to spend $100,000 on furniture, you're not taking into account design fees and storage fees and all those other sort of mitigating details that truly will explode your budget. So have a cap, essentially have a cap. Question, Kazumi, do you see a resurgence of these 70s Art Deco inspired patterns moving forward for Clarence House?
I like that idea. But maybe I'm gonna look into it. Yeah, I'm gonna do some research, and then I think that'll be a great idea to do a new collection based on.
Nina has told me that we can go see the archives, and I know you probably know them intimately, but I love the idea of seeing the archives, Kazumi. I hope I can come visit you and we.
Yeah, we would love. Yeah, I would like that.
Can I go to that too?
Yeah, sure.
I love an archival location. Just to thumb through the big thick books of pieces.
I went to the Fabric-Cut archives with Nina, and it was so fantastic. I just can't imagine what the Clarence House one's like.
No, we ship all the archives from the previous owner to Fabric-Cut. Yeah. You could see everything. I think they start to organize everything archives. It's all in Tulsa, I think.
Let's do it, and then you know what? We'll do a show about.
You come to at the sales meeting or something in August.
fun.
Yeah, that sounds like so much fun. My God, I'm stuck on that idea now. Michelle, I also think we should take some of these Clarence House textiles and do a turban collection.
Oh, Joy is so good at turbans. She taught me all how to tie turbans. Any turbans I ever wear, there's my teacher.
I'm a turbanologist.
You really are. You're my turban guru.
Oh my gosh, I would love to like see a bunch of Clarence House turbans, like tall ones and knotted in different ways.
My favorite one is that one you taught me that wraps around and around and goes up really high. I still
Really high.
I can't do that.
Maybe you could design a kaftan as well.
Yes.
Ooh.
I can't do it without Joy though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do it. We'll do it together. Here's another question. How do you use inspiration pictures or items from travel to drive your design?
You mean for a client?
I think just generally speaking, how do you use inspiration pictures or items from travel to drive your design? It could be for textile or for projects. So give me both answers.
So I used to, of course, take pictures before we had the iPhone, and I have all these folders from years and years and years that have like a picture of the way a palm tree crosses over, or all these, or like hay in a bale. So all these things like that I was inspired by, and of course by different architecture and design. And everyone who works for me has to sort of look through them. It's something I make people do. But now I just keep it on my iPhone, and God forbid I lose that iPhone. But so yeah, so
back those pictures up, Michelle. Technology, back them up.
Put on the cloud. But
somebody tell Michelle how to back these images up.
Someone who works for me, please. But I reference back through those all the time, and am completely inspired. And I'll print them out and show them to clients, or show them to Nina or the tile people. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. Kazumi, what do you do?
Probably I do too. I always taking a picture everywhere. Even when you're walking down the street in Rome and Paris, when I look at the interesting blind or shadow or something, there's some geometric good design. I take a picture, I put it all together and create something.
I know, and sometimes it looks crazy, like it's just all these strange pictures that people don't realize what they have in common. But
right.
But and I know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, I mean, what else do you guys want to share? Anything else you guys want to
share? This, that, when I was approached by Clarence House to do this line, it was really sort of a dream come true, because I started my career really in the 80s when Clarence House was just the go-to and my favorite, and exemplified everything that I like so much about pattern and color. And so it's just been a real joy for me, and I'm just so happy that this has kind of come together, and getting to know Kazumi, and it's just an amazing place, Clarence House.
And you, Kazumi, what closing remarks, what would you like to share to cap off?
Well, I mean, to be able to work with the whole wonderful groups in a Fabrica team, and I want to make the Clarence House to another level, keep on working.
Well, you just keep raising the bar, just keep raising the bar.
I hope.
And Robin would be very proud, wouldn't he?
I hope so.
I'm sure Robin would be very proud as well. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. I'd like to thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Kazumi. Thank you for joining us with Evolution of an Icon. You both are tremendous designers and inspiration to me. I very much look forward to doing this archival Clarence House visit. I know it's got to, I think we should plan to be there and maybe bring a lunch, bring a mask and maybe a lunch. Don't you guys think we should do that for sure?
The masks will be done by then. Let's just pray.
Okay, well, let's just pray, but we're just going to be thumbing through all of the.
I made a lot of masks in Clarence House fabrics. I'm going to send you some.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Why haven't you been selling these?
Send one to you. Do you have one yet?
No.
Oh, I'm sending it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, please post these. We need to see them posted on IG.
I know, they're cute.
Oh my gosh. Kazumi, are you making masks out of your Clarence House textiles?
Maybe I should.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Limited edition.
Mine are just in mine, but I'm going to make a special one for you. What's your favorite fabric of yours?
From the collection?
Yeah.
Which one? It's very hard to say. Something gray, black, something
Oh, that matches all your outfits.
not standing up too much.
Okay, I'm gonna text you a few pictures and you can choose.
Okay.
That's awesome. So everyone, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And before anything, I would, of course, like to thank our sponsors for today's event, for Clarence House and Jerry Pear for your time. Thank you for kicking off ADAC Design. We have thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. I hope you enjoyed yourselves as well. So thank you everyone for joining us. And I
Thank
hope
you, Joy, and thank you, Steele and Veranda and Jerry Parr and Kazumi, most of all. Thank you.
yes,
Thank
Thank you. Thank
to
you, Joy,
Veranda,
Michelle.
to everyone. Thank you all. Thank you so very much for
Bye.
joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.